my pregnant stomach went down by 3 inches. It was just unbelievable. Well, if that can happen in the first week, what's going to happen for the rest of the time?
That is Yiota, one of our clients from the Nourish Method, where we help women over 40 to lose stubborn weight for good. And yes, you heard that right. She lost 3 inches around her belly in just 7 days. And not only that, she was also able to achieve this.
The other thing was that the results, when they came, showed other things that didn't even know they were there. It was diabetes and being pre-diabetic and not knowing it. That gave me another reason to want this more, to be able to detract from that by changing my lifestyle. I've now completely gone away from being pre-diabetic. Day by day, I was seeing different changes and getting a constant sleep without any awakenings, not to go to the toilet, not for hot sweats, just to have a 7 to 8 hour sleep every night was amazing, and to wake up feeling like I'd slept.
Yiota was able to detect early diabetes and is now getting consistently good quality sleep because of not having hot sweats or menopausal symptoms. Before, she was experiencing things like this.
As I got older, and I believe I went through perimenopause in my early 40s, I then it all started to change. And all the bloating became a lot more. I was looking pregnant. There was lots of wind, sleepless nights, all your main menopausal symptoms.
If you're currently in that situation where Yiota was before, then this episode is for you. Welcome to the Thriving Metabolism podcast. I'm Louise Digby, a registered nutritional therapist and women's weight loss expert, and it is my mission to empower you so that you and your metabolism thrive and you never have to go through diet misery again. Stay until the end so that you can discover what really helped Yiota shed 3 inches around her belly, because I'm going to drop them in this episode. Okay, so the first thing is hydration. Now, I bang on about hydration all the time, and I just know that you're bored of listening to me talk about it, but it is so important. I cannot stress enough how important it is to be well hydrated, particularly when it comes to the inches around your belly. When we are dehydrated, we actually lack the fluids we need for our digestive juices to be produced. We require liters of fluids for our digestive function to work properly. We need to be able to produce stomach acid, to produce our bile, to be able to produce our digestive enzymes, and for them to be able to flow through the digestive system properly. Lots of fluids flush through the system to support the digestive process. If we don't have enough fluids, we don't digest our foods so well, and that results in bloating. And bloating is something that within minutes of eating something, it can occur, and it doesn't tend to go away as quickly as it came. So taking steps like staying hydrated to support or help to reduce levels of bloating is one of the quickest ways to lose inches from your waist. Staying well hydrated also helps to curb cravings, and it also helps you to stick with your healthy food choices, because when we're well hydrated, we tend to be more energized. We tend to be able to handle cravings better because they're not as strong. We don't get them as often. So we're much more likely to make better food choices. And that, of course, is going to help you with your waistline. Now, we need to ideally aim for about 8 to 10 glasses of water per day, but the reality is any more than you're currently drinking is probably going to be helpful unless you're already making a conscious effort to get your 8 to 10 glasses of water per day. Now, one of my favorite tips is to have a big glass of water as soon as you wake up in the morning. I find that if I do this, I'm thirstier throughout the day. And so it's easier for me to drink more water without feeling like I'm forcing myself. It also helps to fire up your digestive system, which we want to do. We want to get things moving and working in the morning. Now, it's important to ensure that we're not just downing loads of water with our meals, because remember I said that we need to produce digestive juices, stomach acid, bile. Well, we don't want to flush all of that away. We want to make sure that we're drinking between our meals where possible so that our body is actually able to absorb that water and then use it to make those digestive juices. We don't want to just be washing down our food with loads of fluids whilst we're eating, because again, that is going to dilute the digestive juices and it's going to make the digestion of the food poorer, and is going to have an impact on how long it takes to digest the food and how thoroughly we digest it. So we want to let our digestive systems do their jobs rather than just flushing things through with water. So try to drink your water between your meals where possible. It's fine to sip on water whilst you're eating, but don't be downing glasses and glasses at meal times. And I think a really nice example of how impactful drinking water can be is if you just look at your skin. You know, when we're well hydrated, a lot of the fine lines tend to blur out and they tend to disappear. And so if hydrating ourselves can have that much of an impact on the lines on our skin, then think about what impact that has to our tiny, tiny microscopic cell membranes. Just having more water in the body will help to plump up those cell membranes, which is so, so important for our cells to be able to communicate with each other, for our cells to be able to listen to the signals that our body's sending via hormones. And that's really important because that's how our body tells us that we're full. That's how our body tells us that we've got enough fat stores and that we can actually start releasing some of those fat stores. Our body has to be able to communicate with itself, and hydration is a really essential part of that. So my next tip is about moving more every day. Incorporating small activities into your day really does add up. And that might be things like walking, parking further away from where you're going. And I know during the holiday season and on the build up to it, you're more likely to be doing some shopping. And so parking in those retail parks further away from the shops, all of that adds up. Taking the stairs instead of the lift or the escalators. Doing some light stretching, particularly if you work at a desk, taking regular breaks and just doing a little bit of stretching, it really helps to keep your metabolism active. And setting a daily step goal can be a really motivating way to get yourself moving. I know for me, I don't have a Fitbit anymore because it died, but when I had a Fitbit, having that goal of 10,000 steps and that constant reminder every time I looked at the time that I hadn't achieved my steps yet was a motivator for me to move, whether that was around the house, running up and down the stairs a few times, or whether it was going out for an extra walk with the dog. It really is motivating to set yourself a step goal. So it's good to start with tracking where you're at right now. If you're currently at 4,000 steps a day, why not try and add a couple of thousand to that goal? If you can do even more than that, then amazing. But just more than you're doing now is going to be beneficial. And most smartphones have a way of tracking steps as well. So if you don't have a Fitbit or a smartwatch, then you don't necessarily need one. You can also get super cheap pedometers. Remember those from the 90s? You can get pedometers so cheap on Amazon. So just getting a basic pedometer that tracks your steps is something else that you can do if a smartwatch or carrying around your smartphone isn't going to work for you. And if you do have have a little bit more of a budget, or if you have a company that you work for that are quite wellness focused, then exploring getting a under desk treadmill or a walking pad is such a great option. I was reading something recently, some research that actually said that standing for prolonged periods of time isn't quite as good as we thought it might be. So if you've got a standing desk like me, standing at it all day isn't necessarily that much better for us, because blood can pool in our legs when we've been standing for a really long time. So an ideal option is a walking desk where you don't need to be striding along, but just moving and taking slow steps can really help to keep your blood pumping and boost that activity level. It doesn't have to be that we're going down the gym every day or that we're doing workouts every day. We want to do some focused workouts, but a really easy way to improve your metabolism is to up just the general daily movements. Okay, so the third one is something that can completely transform your results in just a week. But before we reveal what that is, let me remind you, the reason why you're still tuned in is because deep down, you know this is exactly what you need. You know you've tried other methods, but this time it feels different. You're ready for results and you're willing to take the simple, powerful steps that make that happen. You're still here because you're looking for an effective, achievable way to lose those inches before 2025. And I promise this third tip is going to make all the difference. Maybe you've tried to cut back on calories, do tons of cardio, or even experimented with different diets, but the results just weren't what you expected. Maybe your body's been holding on to that last bit of stubborn fat and you're ready to see a real change. And yes, I'm going to invite you actually to encourage you to book a call with us, because it's definitely possible to lose weight in your 40s. It's definitely possible to feel like yourself again and regain your confidence. If you book a call with me, it's because you're choosing yourself this time and you're not delaying what you deserve to have. So go ahead to bit.ly/TMP breakthrough, or use the link in the show notes and book a call with us. Now is the time. Once you're done booking, come back to me so that we can continue this episode. Going back to the next tip that is a real game changer, and I've seen it work wonders for so many of my clients like Yiota, who lost 3 inches in just 7 days by this one thing. And that thing is to cut out grains. Now, it's not often you're going to hear me tell you to cut something out, and this is only something that I ever recommend cutting out temporarily, okay? So hear me out. Grains can be incredibly bloating, incredibly inflammatory, and they can cause spikes in your blood sugars and ultimately slow down your weight loss. And this is particularly true when you have digestive issues, if you have autoimmune issues going on, like Hashimoto's, for example, then grains can be something that can be very disruptive. So eliminating them for a short while, I so often just recommend avoiding them for only a week and just seeing how you get on. It can lead to a flatter stomach very, very quickly and better digestion. Now, the key thing here is to not just leave it there, okay? Taking out the grains helps with the symptom, and that can make you feel better, not just digestion-wise, but also energy-wise and like water retention-wise very, very quickly. But what we need to do is we need to address the reason why you can't tolerate those grains in the first place. It might not feel obvious that you have an issue with grains, by the way. It might not be a case that you eat them and then a few hours later you get bloated. It may be that you're actually in a constant state of inflammation partly because of having grains in your diet, by the way. So, as I say, we need to address the reason why you might be struggling with grains. And that is so often linked to the balance of bacteria and yeasts in your gut and the health of your gut lining, and also just the efficiency of your digestion, the production of digestive enzymes and digestive juices and acids and bile. And these are all things that we work on heavily in the Nourish Method because we so often find them an issue. They're very often disrupted because of modern life, modern diets, and stress. And things that can cause disruption in the gut, like if you've had lots of food poisoning in the past, if you've had lots of sickness bugs, if you've had lots of antibiotics, or even just one course of antibiotics can do it. If you've had a lot of stress over the years, or if for a while you had a diet that wasn't optimal in terms of a good variety and diversity of fiber in the diet, or lots of processed or fast foods, then these are things that can impact your gut in a very long lasting way. None of these things need to be recent. They can all be things that, happen in childhood and then have a lasting effect because it's never been properly rebalanced. So with our clients, we take very strategic steps to rebalance the bacteria in the gut and make sure that the gut is functioning properly in terms of digesting food properly, and that the gut lining is healthy and performing its job properly, because your gut lining should be like a filter. It should be filtering out the stuff that we don't want to absorb, and it should be helping you to efficiently absorb all the good stuff. But what can happen is the filter can become a little bit patchy, a bit holey, like a sieve that's got a few bits broken, and it can allow through toxins, bacteria, hormones, things that we don't really want to be absorbing, and that can cause your immune system to react and go on high alert, and that is what drives inflammation in the body. And grains are something that can drive that inflammation by worsening the health of the gut lining, and also if your bacteria isn't balanced in the gut, you can have trouble breaking down the fibers in those grains, which can cause bloating. So that's why removing grains can be so effective, but please don't just remove grains and leave it at that. We have to take a focused approach on gut health as well, because simply removing grains can actually leave you lacking in some beneficial nutrients and fibers. The fibers in there are good for us, but the problem comes when we can't digest them properly. So to start, we want to make sure that we're replacing the grains, okay? We're not just avoiding them. And one of the simplest things to replace grains with are potato, sweet potato, butternut squash, quinoa. That might be surprising because you might think of it as a grain, but it is actually a seed. So quinoa can still be included. And then legumes and vegetables are great things to include and up in your diet as you remove grains. So when I say removing grains, we're talking about eliminating things like bread, pasta, rice, and really just seeing how your body feels. If you don't notice any difference at all, then I would be surprised. It depends on how many you're having in the first place, but I would be surprised if you didn't see a difference. But if you don't see a difference, there's no need to continue eliminating them to a great extent. We still don't want to overdo them, because when we have loads of grains in the diet, it's overcrowding the good stuff. We want to make sure that we are basing our diet on proteins and vegetables and lots of good fiber-rich plant-based foods, and just a little bit of carb or grains on the side. So these are just some of the introductory steps that you can implement to support your body with this weight loss process at any age, but particularly after 40. We do tend to become more inflamed, more prone to stress, more imbalanced as we get into our 40s and beyond, because of the way that our body changes as we go through that menopause transition. So getting more savvy with the way that we're changing our diet and our lifestyles is so important, because just cutting calories, just eating less and exercising more, it doesn't cut it. That's why Yiota came to me in the first place. That's why all of my clients come to me, because doing those obvious things just doesn't work. And we really have to delve deeper. And these steps that I've outlined today are some great introductory steps. And then delving into personalized testing or a more strategic approach to heal the gut, to support the healthy production, function, and elimination of hormones, and the rebuilding of your metabolism is what takes you from having to micromanage all the calories that you eat and having to spend all your time in the gym to being able to enjoy a diet that is rich with an abundance of foods, not feeling hungry, not battling with cravings, and really feeling amazing in yourself whilst losing that stubborn weight.
Well, if that can happen in the first week, what's going to happen for the rest of the time?
So don't wait any longer. We are ready for your transformation. All you have to do is book a call with us. That's it. bit.ly/TMP breakthrough. Again, that's bit.ly/TMP breakthrough. And you can find that link in the show notes too. And I'm so excited to speak with you.